All right, here we are for another chapter of Princess of Crows. This is actually my longest book. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but as it was with the earlier abandonment of the story and the ejector seat ending, I ended up having so much more to say about the story than I originally thought I would. So the final product is almost half again as long as other books that I had written at that time. And so we are going to continue. The sun was the most sacred thing to a Tengu. Mike believed her. Kurama is my bride, he said. Please, don't leave, she begged through her tears. I want to be with you. I'll die with you, she said. Again, with the grand promises and gestures. At Festivus, bake me a cake, he said. Be a real wife. She stopped crying in shock. Bake? But Mike, I'm a princess. Be a real wife, he insisted. You mean bake? Like a common servant? Like I was your servant? She asked. Wives sometimes bake for husbands. It is a source of pride, Mike explained. I'll I'll be a wife, she said, tasting the word. I'll be Mike's little wife. She kissed him on his neck. But I'll be the queen. I need you to treat me as your equal. Go beyond your comfort zone and do something for me with the labor of your hands. Be more than a queen. Be a fully rounded woman. This one-up dominance game stops. I'm your partner. I'm not your under, Mike insisted in a gentle voice. Okay, Mike. I'll become your equal. We will be partners. I'll bake. I'll let you keep our eggs. She swallowed. I'll crown you king with my own hands. And I will never abuse you. Mike replied, I will be the same Mike as always, wearing that crown. I will not humiliate you. We will be partners. She laughed. I don't know anything about raising children. Well, neither do I, just like every other parent. Together, they laughed again, and they cried until Mike's knees went to sleep from kneeling on the tile floor. She never seemed to tire of telling Mike she loved him. She sat on the counter while he bathed Hildy, and they had an ongoing conversation, planning both of their weddings. Kurama wanted a traditional Japanese wedding, and Hildy wanted a masquerade ball. Mike was not asked what he wanted. Suddenly, he missed the training camp back on Tengu Mountain, surrounded by men. And he had the thought that he hadn't spoken to a man in days, not counting Eiji and Susa and Tybalt. And he realized that being a man surrounded by women might do something, might make him weird. He scrubbed her bones on autopilot while his women talked about weddings, and it felt like he wasn't there. He needed a male perspective. He knew so much about what a real man was not. But what about what a real man was? He dropped the brush and mumbled something about a best man. Fushin sat in her tiger-striped bathrobe on the sofa waiting for her turn, and she saw him walking. She watched him leave the apartment, shoeless, wearing only gym shorts. utterly silent. He knocked on Uncle Leshy's door. A horned woman with goat legs and bare breasts answered the door. "Hello," Mike said. "I need to talk to Uncle." And he introduced himself as Kurama's vassal. She nodded and waved him in. The door led into a living room, meaning most things in the room were alive. The floor was grass. The furniture was made of latticed vines in chair shapes, and somehow a living wicker chaise. He took a seat upon a lattice chair. It was not comfortable. The goat-legged woman said, "Wait, please," in what he understood to be modern Russian. Her voice was low and gruff, and momentarily Uncle Leshy returned to sit across from him on the wicker chair. The woman sat on his lap. "What can I do for you?" the hairy god asked. "Uncle Leshy, I live surrounded by women, and soon I will marry," Mike began. "Congratulations," Leshy said. Mike thanked him, and then he continued. "I've been missing male company. I have no best man, and I don't actually know what being a real man means." Leshy pondered this. "Well, nephew, I'd be willing to be your best man, but perhaps a mortal or yokai would be a better choice." Mike nodded. "As for being a real man, I will say this. Strength is the core of manhood. A real man is strong enough that he does not raise his hand in anger to his women or girls, and he is strong enough to be kind to everyone. He is strong enough to listen to other views and to be able to change his mind, even about principles he holds dear. Be strong like the willow. It bends and it blows, but it is still standing when the storm is blown out. Be strong like water, patient enough to penetrate stone, unbreakable. Be strong like the fire, sharing its light and its warmth, unafraid to be seen sharing. That is what I have to say about manhood, nephew," Leshy said. "Thank you, Uncle. Who is she, by the way?" Mike indicated the woman atop Leshy's lap. "This is Zoya, the first female fawn in 700 years," Leshy said. "Fawns are always male, I thought." "They are some of the most masculine things of all," Mike said. "Not Zoya. She knew she was female, so I corrected her birth accident." Mike understood then. "It is a pleasure, Zoya," Mike said and nodded at her. She finally smiled. Her teeth looked strong enough to chew tin. "Mike, come back sometime and dance with me and the boys. I hear you dance very well," Zoya said. "There you have it. You are invited," Leshy said. "What does Pan think about Zoya?" Mike asked. "Who gives a fig what Pan thinks?" Leshy replied. "This is my house, and he ditched this world anyway." Mike thanked Zoya for the invitation, promising he would return. He walked back to his home smiling, strong like the willow, strong like the fire, strong enough to be kind. He hoped he could be that strong. He apologized to Hildy and Fushin for abandoning his duties. He explained his visit with Uncle Leshy and his best man conundrum. "Not Tybalt," Fushin pleaded. "Why not?" "I just can't stand the guy," Fushin replied. "Well, how about Raijin?" Mike asked. "Not him either. He's my partner, not my friend." Mike pondered. "Who else do we know?" Fushin sighed. "Listen, ask Tybalt. He might be unable, and if not, Well, I'll get one of my sons, okay? He'll be invited regardless. Kurama loves him. Mike nodded. Hildy said, "For our wedding, your best man can be Luke Skywalker if you like." Mike smiled. "Bruce Leroy," he countered. "Okay, I'll have to look him up," Hildy replied. Fushin led Mike to his bedroom. "Wash me in your private shower," she said, pulling him along. "But, my private bathroom has," he began. But by then Fushin had already opened the door. She looked around at the photos, stunned silent. Then she saw the shower photos. "Obsessive, isn't she?" Fushin asked. Mike had to agree. "She wanted to drive home a point," Mike explained. The Thunder Goddess looked at him. "Mike, you don't have to marry her, you know." "Are you offering?" he asked. "No, but I want you to be sure about this," she said. Mike shrugged. "I love her." Today she said the words. "She loves me too." Fushin's jaw dropped. "She said, 'I love you'?" she asked. "The very words," Mike confirmed. Fushin backed out of the bathroom. "Not as private as I had hoped," she admitted, and walked back to the shared bathroom. She looked at her reflection. "Do you know that I haven't had sex with anyone but you since that time? That time you told me that you're good enough, you belong spiel?" "It came to my attention," Mike said wryly. "What is it about you? How am I only satiated by you?" Fushin asked. "I was going to ask you," he confessed. She chuckled throatily. "Maybe it's because you can refuse me. Maybe it's because you actually love me. Maybe it's because you encourage my value beyond how sexy and horny I am," Fushin mused, looking at his reflection now. "Look in your book of magic for a ritual called the Three Kings. I think it will help you find your counterpart," she said, and then shrugged out of her robe. "But first, do your duty to your favorite goddess." She arched her back in a rather feline stretch. "Which duty?" Mike teased. "First one, then the other," she suggested. After she was satisfied with the latter of his duties, Mike took his book and read about the ritual she had suggested. You would need to set up at 2 a.m., the witching hour, and stay in a position until 5. He set up 3 tall mirrors, one in front of a chair that he moved into the dining room, the other 2 on either side, angled just so that he could look into all 3 and see his reflection without having to move. He set up an electric fan behind the chair and a candle, a white beeswax candle. If he moved, the fan would blow out the candle, ending the ritual. He could blow it out himself as well, but the fan was a precaution against foul play. The Three Kings was based on who else performed the ritual, regardless of their plane of existence. This was a risk, but Mike felt a necessary one. He had to return his counterpart to his family. He positioned himself and lit the candle at 2 o'clock exactly. He waited, unmoving, but said, "Please, come speak to me, kings." His reflection vanished, and 3 seated figures took their places. One was a rather corpulent feminine shape, with ash-colored skin and 3 spiral horns. One an androgynous, hairless, pink-skinned humanoid, whippet thin. And the third looked just like himself, but unshaven and with short-cropped hair. "No places, no names," said the feminine in a dulcet voice. Mike nodded, but asked, I seek to locate someone. May we make an exception? Each agreed. And then the female figure asked Mike, what is the atmosphere of your world like? A blend of gases, but carbon dioxide, oxygen, nitrogen, and hydrogen are the dominant elements. She nodded. So it is a corrosive atmosphere. If you say so. My species is adapted to it, Mike replied. She asked more questions about the elements of Earth and understood Mike's answers. She then asked, may I inquire further at a later time? Mike agreed, but admitted he was not a scientist. A roll of paper-like substance fell from the darkness onto the table in front of him. This will facilitate our communication. You have my thanks. The androgyne spoke next. I am seeking a partnership with one who belongs to a religious order that requires body modification, but I was raised in an order that sees such things as blasphemous. I have a strong desire for this partnership. What do you advise? Mike was taken aback. I believe that the connections between equal partners are the greatest sources of joy. However, body modifications are not to be handled lightly. Consider if your prospective partner is willing to make equal commitments to you, or if they only demand you conform to the rules of their order. Be patient and allow time for consideration before making this choice. I wish you happiness, Mike said. That blessing proved itself again. The androgyne gave thanks. The figure who looked like Mike indicated he should speak next. I seek a parallel of myself, who has left his body in another world. I seek Michael Roy Jackson, husband of Karen Jackson, companion of the feline Mr. Bojangles. His doppelganger nodded and then began writing. Do not be confused. I only appear to look like you, he said, speaking. My name is Marvin Mosby. I am a benevolent doppelganger. I have encountered similar scenarios in my travels. I am something of a physician. Take this and assemble the ingredients. You will locate him without error. Returning him to his body will be simple once this is accomplished, but can only be done with a willing patient. If he is unwilling, nothing can be done. Thank you, Marvin. May I be of assistance? You already have. I perform community service to pay my debt to society for malpractice. Then Marvin sent a piece of paper to Mike. Be well, Michael Roy Jackson. He'd mimicked the inflections perfectly, speaking Mike's true name. My name is Bashaba Fay Ray, said the horned woman. Mike nodded, thanking her for her trust. They spent the rest of the time talking about work. Marvin never mentioned why he'd been convicted of malpractice. Then an alarm sounded, and they each bowed and jumped before blowing out their candles. Mike felt like he had 3 new friends. He never learned the androgynous friend's name, and that felt sad. Mike gathered the papers from Marvin and Bashaba before returning to the prior configuration. He had a thought that he never wanted to do that ritual again, as if it were extra-dimensional chat roulette and he'd merely been very lucky. He carried the scrolls, for want of a better word, to his bedroom. He yawned and looked them over. The formula for finding the other Mike was involved, but the elements were about what he had already guessed and imagined. That harmonic resonance stuff had been the right idea. As for contacting Bashaba, it was more intricate and esoteric. He turned off the light and put the scrolls in his underwear drawer. He fell asleep and almost immediately found himself on a cliff overlooking a lake. Ah, he had forgotten about the Hildy want dream. A choir of female voices began singing in a language he did not understand. His linguistics charm showed its limits again. Slavic, Sanskrit, and whatever this language was. He didn't see the choir as he surveyed his surroundings. The lake was an oasis in a barren area, some scrub and some cacti. Hilda, he asked. Astarte, sang the chorus. So it was like that. He searched for her, thinking it was part of her fantasy. The cliff had no easy descent. He pondered. Well, it's a dream, and I'm a Tengu changeling, he mused aloud. Wind, carry me, he called out, and he felt the wind blow stronger and caress his wings. Wings? He looked like a normal human still, but he felt the wings in his bones. He leaped for the water and glided. He whooped with joy. He'd never had a flying dream before. And he plunged into the water. The choir sang in a manner that sounded like they were urging him on. And sometimes he would hear it again, Astarte. And then, Michael, they sang, and he assumed it was his name. He swam downward, holding his breath, and he saw a flash of golden bone. He kicked and swam. Hildy, Astarte. He saw her wings now. She ran slowly on the lake floor, looking back. As always, her expression revealed nothing. He pursued her, and the choir became insistent, and his lungs screamed. But he had to catch the golden goddess of inspiration. He caught a wing, and she turned to embrace him. His lungs won, and he exhaled. His lungs filled with water, and he blacked out. He coughed and choked and coughed, and he spat, and he breathed. And there, looking down on him, was gleaming goddess Astarte, the goddess Truth. She caressed his cheek and rested her skull against his face. You died for me, she said. I held your life in my hands and gave it back to you. I love... Oh, gods damn it, she roared. Mike jerked awake, shaken by Shizu. My lord, breakfast, she said. Her feathers suddenly ruffled, and then Hildy stormed in, her bones paler than he had ever seen. You interrupted a sacred dream, you boorish peasant slut, Hildy shouted, and shoved the Tengu. Hildy, I understand your grievance, but you are not to put hands on my servant. Her punishments are my responsibility, Mike said firmly, but he put a placating hand on Hildy's shoulder. Mike, it was getting to the best part, she protested. He shushed her. Do not shush me. I'm angry and you will not forget your place. Her hands leapt to cover her mouth. What is my place, O forgotten goddess? Mike asked, angry himself. Mike, I didn't mean it, she said. Yes, you did. Say it. You're my equal, Mike, my beloved, she wheedled. Say it, he insisted. I was going to say you were my toy, but I don't really mean that. I think you did. I advise you to leave my room and re-examine your feelings before you talk to me again, Mike said. Hildy reached for him. Please, Mike, I'm sorry. I was mad, and I was feeling possessive, and I know it's wrong, Hildy pleaded. Please, master, don't punish your lover. I'm the one in the wrong. Punish me. I made her angry. I interfered with the sacred dream, Shizu pleaded, pulling on his arm. Hildy's bones resumed their usual golden brown color. Mike sighed. Thank Shizu, he demanded. Thank you, Shizu. I apologize for striking you, Hildy said, contrite, and she turned to leave. I liked the dream, Mike said, and then Hildy ran to hold him. Did it make sense? She asked. You want to be treasured and cherished, pursued, wanted, Mike replied. Exactly. Oh, I knew you were special, Hildy sighed. You need to eat your breakfast, Hildy said, and then she turned once more to leave. Mike noticed she was naked. Hildy, you're naked, Mike observed. It's nothing. I have nothing to cover, she said sadly, and walked away. She bumped off of Fushin. Mike, breakfast, Fushin called out cheerfully. Oh, sorry, Hildy. Are you okay? She asked. It's fine, Hildy said, and walked back to her bedroom. Mike stretched and his eyes watered. He wasn't sure why. He pulled on a bathrobe and went to the table. So good of you to join us, Michael, Kurama said coldly, looking up from her seat. I was up late working on how to handle returning my counterpart to his body. Forgive me, Mike said, sitting. It was not a request. I gave him the idea of using the three kings, Fushin explained. Mike, in your condition, Whisper chided softly, holding her fan over her mouth. I take risks every day. I'm not a child. I can handle myself, Mike replied. He began eating without waiting for Kurama. Lilya covered her mouth. Kurama simply began eating without a word. Lilya shared a look with Whisper, who traced a crown around her head. Lilya nodded, smiling. Mike was ravenous, but he was able to maintain good table manners. His phone chirped, but he ignored it. Kurama said, I hope you enjoy your outing, Fushin, Mike. Fushin smiled. Oh, we will. I'll bring him back tired, but stronger. I guarantee it. Kurama nodded. Hildy came back to see them off, wearing a miniskirt and a t-shirt. Come back safe, Mike. To be continued, she said. Mike gave her a hug, feeling her bones press into him. She caressed his back. Mike dressed for the outdoors, just as Fushin had done, and it was odd seeing her in hiking boots and shorts. He headed for the car, but Fushin stopped him. No, Her Highness will need the car. I have a better way, she said, and she put an arm around his shoulders and led him down the street. She flipped off some Nezumi as they passed. They didn't dare make a sound. She led him towards an ornate arch near a park. Hold on tight, baby. We're going to travel a far distance, she said. Mike put an arm around her waist, and they walked through the arch. There was a sound as of paper tearing, and everything went blurry and cross-eyed. Fushin carried him over her shoulders and walked into a forest with a river. She set him down on a fallen log that had dry moss covering parts of it. Where are we? He asked dizzily. Oregon, she replied. I just remembered I hate camping. Worst part about the army, Mike said. Worse than the yelling and getting shot at? She teased. Well, he had no snappy comeback. He was too dizzy. She laughed softly and began clearing a spot by hand. I promise you'll recover, Fushin said. He nodded weakly and held his head in his hands while his Lover worked. Do you know about Shiva creating the universe with music? She asked. I've heard something about that, he answered. The beat goes on, she said. She held up two sticks. She broke them down to be of equal length. The beat of existence, the music of life, the heartbeat of the world. She began tapping on the log. Feel it, baby. Hear it in your heart. She continued to drum, looking at him expectantly, and smiled, her teeth sharp. Feel it, baby. Feel me. Feel me inside you. We are part of that symphony. We are one, Fushin urged. Mike closed his eyes and his equilibrium returned, and he saw the vibrations flow from her heart, from her sticks, from the log, from the river, from his heart. He broke into a grin. You feel it, she said, continuing to drum. Now, the rhythm that is only Mike and Fushin, she urged, and changed the beat, making moss fly from the bark. He felt her. He felt her fear, her love, her loneliness. He felt his own. And then he felt the joy of being. They were alive. They were together. They were part of the life force. Divinity was inside them both, in all things, even the dead log he sat upon. Even as Fushin drummed upon it with two rough sticks. She dropped the sticks, but still he heard the music, the orchestra that is the cosmos. He stood up and Fushin held him close to her. She sang a wordless hymn of ohs, woes, ahs, and hums. It was the song of her love for a mortal man. A former radio operator, abandoned by his world, precious to the thunder drummer for his unassuming acceptance and tender heart. She finished, took a deep breath, and kissed him. Oh, for the love of fuck! We leave cities behind to relax and we stumble upon raven trash, complained a male voice. Fushin snarled, her tusks jutting in her anger. You jog on, Bobo. Bad things could happen, she growled, her mohawk flaring. Mike saw three tanuki and a panda glaring at them. Mike took his fighting stance. The panda giggled like a schoolgirl. He noticed a flower tucked behind her ear. The human thinks he's hard, she said behind her paw. Four of us, said the first tanuki. Bobo, Mike guessed. You only outnumber us 2-1. Good odds, Mike boasted, and summoned his battle aura. Fushin sprouted claws from her fingers. I said jog on, fatty, she growled. Mike summoned Regicide. Bobo whistled. Hey, guys, the human knows something. Maybe we should leave him alone with the whore goddess. The panda shook her head. No, I like this place. I want it. I'll embarrass you, Mike promised. The panda laughed again. He's mine, she said. Fushin grinned. Leaving you three scrubs for me. Her eyes began to flash purple. The brown raccoons shared a look. The one female tanuki said, Hey, Fushin, I don't actually want to fight you. I just came to play in the woods. The panda scoffed. The other tanuki backed away. Let's just let them decide it, Bobo said. Are you kidding? She must weigh half a ton, Fushin shouted. You and me, you mountain-sized bitch. No, Mike shouted. I hate pandas. Bastards won't fuck to save their species, but we keep them around because we think they're cute. Bamboo-munching carnivores disgust me. The panda roared in anger and took a swipe at him, exactly as he wanted. He jumped and he rolled, faking pain. Oh, you got me, he said, gasping on the ground. She stomped over to him. I'll spare you if you promise, she growled. Promise what? Fushin demanded. Fuck to save my species, she replied with an evil grin. His dick is way too small to fuck you, Fushin protested. Mike rolled to his feet, grinning. Oh, I don't know. I bet a bear as ugly as her is still a virgin. She's probably tight enough for me to feel big. He laughed and waggled his pinky finger at her. Try again, Panda. Try harder. He goaded her on. She swiped at him again, and he spun around, regicide taking her full in the face before he fell. Unfortunately, the panda fell too, right on top of him. He could breathe, but just barely. Call it a draw? Bobo suggested. Fushin laughed. Bullshit. Mike won. He faked that fall. Draw! Mike gasped under the panda's bulk. The tanuki rolled the panda off of him and took human shape. The female tanuki was kind of cute. Fushin helped Mike to his feet. He cleaned and sheathed regicide, gulping breaths. Is she okay? Bobo asked, checking the panda. She was bleeding from her nose. Bobo held a leaf to wipe up the blood. She stirred. My crush your little till you love me, she mumbled. She blinked and took human form. She was still very big, a mountain of a Chinese woman. It's over, big sis. It was a draw, Bobo said. My name is Smiling Mountain, she insisted, standing up. Mike wondered what that was without the linguistics charm. It must have automatically translated the Mandarin or whatever it was she spoke. Mike then introduced himself. I know who you are, crow fucker, Smiling Mountain said with a scowl. Matter of fact, from what I hear, you fuck everything. Too good for me, though, huh? Not the way to get this dick, baby cakes. Being nice is free, Mike retorted. I like him. He's cunning but brutal, the female tanuki said. He's mine, Fushin said, her tusks still jutting. Smiling Mountain then kowtowed, her nose touching the ground. Very well. I ask for peace and friendship between us, she said. I agree, Mike said, touching her shoulder. Then Smiling Mountain stood up, and she hugged him in a crushing grip that made him very sad and think of Tessa. He ached with regrets. Smiling Mountain saw his tears. Oh, little brother, don't cry. You'll make me cry. But it was too late. The panda yokai's eyes were streaming, and she snuffled great sobs. Oh, I promise I'll be your big sister, so don't cry, she said. Bobo smirked. That's your date, Ryuhei. I don't want Ryuhei anymore. He feels nothing for me. Not like my little brother who understands my pain. Fushin snapped her fingers. Excuse me. The goddess Fushin has claimed this man. Hello? Mike was still weeping there in Marshmallow Hell, though her breasts were much smaller and were not furry in this form. He still was thinking very deeply about poor Tessa. Smiling Mountain would not release her little brother. Big sis, are you okay? Bobo asked. I may be dizzy from the head trauma, but I know a kindred spirit when I crush him in my mighty bosom. This is my little brother, and I love him, Smiling Mountain said, and then she allowed him to breathe. He collapsed. I hope I didn't break him, she said sheepishly. She looked at Fushin. Sorry I crushed your human. Smiling Mountain sniffed up her leaking blood and wiped at her eyes. Mike recovered, and then Smiling Mountain hugged him again. We've both knocked each other unconscious. We are best friends now, she said happily. That's not how that works, Mike said, staggering to his feet. Smiling Mountain supported him. Oh, I get it. We need to tell the gods. Here. She pulled a coin out of her pocket and handed it to Fushin. Smiling Mountain and Mike Marshall are now family. He's my brother from now on. She nodded and then carried him in a one-armed grip and deposited him back on that log where he had been sitting earlier. She then carried Regicide to him. Your weapon, little brother, she said. He took it. Ruhei coughed. So we'll just go then? He asked Fushin. Yeah, kick rocks, pal, Fushin growled and flipped the coin. It vanished into the air. The Tanuki ran away. Great. Now we have a panda, she griped. Smiling Mountain was rubbing Mike's shoulders. I was born right by that bamboo forest from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, she said. Oh, I loved that part. It was beautiful, Mike said. I'm still dizzy from oxygen deprivation, but we're best friends now. Want to come to my wedding? Of course! I need to vet your fiancé, though, and negotiate the dowry, 'cause I'm your big sister. Oh, thanks. I forgot all about dowry. She's a princess. Fushin growled aloud. Oh, big sis, this is Fushin. She's my lover, Mike said, still very dreamily. I know, she's scary, the panda whispered. Fushin laid her hands on each giddy person's head and used her magic to heal them. That's enough of that, Fushin said. Wow, Smiling Mountain, you're really big, Mike said. I know, everywhere except where I'm supposed to be big, she replied sadly, patting her chest. Are you a virgin? He asked. Today was the day I was supposed to lose it. Oh, well, I have a brother now, she said, her mood brightening. I'm sorry for what I said earlier. That was mean. The panda hugged him. I forgive you. I was being mean too. Fushin didn't let that continue. All right, enough of that too. Mike and I are on a date right now, and I can't seduce him with a panda watching. Oh, sure you can. I'm a love panda. That is not a thing. Yeah, it is. Watch the deleted scenes of Anchorman, Mike said with a laugh. And Smiling Mountain laughed too. Best friends forever, she cheered and hugged him. Sorry my mighty yet small bosom smothered you. Big enough to smother a big man, he reassured her, smiling. Smiling Mountain nodded. Yeah, nothing wrong with your boobs. Anyway, I need privacy with my man, Fushin said pointedly. Oh, sure, Smiling Mountain said, and then she stepped away. And then she stopped and smiled at Fushin. You aren't giving us privacy, Fushin said. Smiling Mountain walked further away and then shifted into full panda shape. She yawned and laid down for a nap. We have a panda now. This complicates things, Fushin sighed. Upside, she doesn't want to fuck me, Mike said, standing. Oh, yes, she does, Fushin countered. Nuh-uh, I'm her brother now. Before the gods and everything, Mike protested. Mike, you don't understand. It's not literal family. Think of her as a sister with benefits or a BFF, not like blood kin, Fushin, Fushin explained. She has now decided that no one is better to be her first than her little brother. Oh, Mike's heart sank. Can I claim I was under duress? Nope. You're stuck with her until one of you dies, which means we're all stuck with her. And her stomach. Fushin frowned. Why didn't you stop her? Mike demanded. You can speak for yourself, remember? Mike cursed. Instead of saying more, Fushin stripped naked, which distracted Mike from his problems. She was sculpted, muscular, feminine perfection. The goddess pointed at his clothes. Join me in the water, Mike. I have something else to show you. Remember the rain check? Cash. Mike obeyed. When your goddess tells you to strip, you do not refuse her. Fushin laughed and carried him into the river. The rocky riverbed was irregular enough to be good footing. Fushin lowered herself into the water and showed him what he had missed out on that other day. It was an underwater blowjob. She didn't need to breathe. The water buoyed him when his knees went weak. In time, he lost all of his strength, and he melted. His goddess's strength did not falter, and she lifted him up into her kiss when she stood. She had swallowed every drop. And she cradled him now, kissing him in the river. He relinquished all control and left himself in her power, submitting to her will. Maybe that was worship. Maybe it didn't matter. He felt her heart pound against his chest and his own heart responding. They were not in sync, but it was close. The world vanished but for their bodies and the living water. He transcended. He was enlightened. He would never be the same after this. He was secure. He knew that as long as he lived, he belonged with Fushin. Her mouth did not tire of tasting him. Her arms did not tire of holding him. 200 pounds of love. For him, kissing his goddess was a return to light after being in the dark. She was all the stars in the sky. She was the drummer of his very heartbeat. He had no fear. Finally she stopped and set him down once more to stand in the river. How do you feel? She asked. This is what conversion must feel like, full of awe. You baptized me. She laughed and pulled him back to their incomplete camp. Smiling Mountain was awake and watching them in her hybrid yokai shape. Her hands clenched and released, clenched and released. Magic, she said. That was magic. Fushin smiled. We might get along after all, Smiling Mountain. Please, call me Mei Mei, the panda requested. I will, Fushin said. Help me get firewood. Mike is in no condition to work. He's on a dopamine high you can only imagine. His eyes were glazed over and his pupils dilated. He sat on top of his clothes, naked as a jaybird. Mei Mei changed into human shape and took off her clothes before gathering sticks. Is that necessary? Fushin asked. Mike did not hear Mei Mei's reply. He did notice the muscles underneath the panda's fat. No matter how you looked at her, she was a lot of woman. She was an impressive specimen. He needed all the friends he could get, and he would not reject her, even if she did eat a lot. They commenced piling the wood, and Mike watched, interested. He'd never been a Boy Scout or anything, and didn't know how to do it. Fushin lit a match and started the fire. She rummaged in her pouch. "Fushin s'mores coming up, lover," she announced. She showed how to break the dry ramen just so, but Mei Mei was not graceful enough, ending up with a handful of noodle fragments. She started to cry. "I'm sorry. I'm clumsy and stupid," she sobbed. Mike reached out to her soft shoulder. "That's not true. You're not clumsy or stupid. You just have not mastered this." "Yes, little brother, you're so sweet," Mei Mei replied. Fushin handed over a pot. "No sense wasting them." Mei Mei dumped the noodles into the pot. "The trick is to not squeeze with your hand. Just apply pressure with your fingers right here," Fushin said, putting Mei Mei's hands on a fresh pack of noodles. This time it broke more or less cleanly. Then she split it neatly into 4 pieces. "Perfect. Set them here, Mei Mei," Fushin said. Mike applauded. "I told you," Mike said. "Not stupid, not clumsy, not ugly." Her fuzzy black ears twitched. "You mean it? I'm not ugly?" she asked. "I mean it. You'll never win a beauty pageant, but you're not ugly. I'm glad you're my big sister." Mei Mei clapped, pulverizing the noodles in her hands. "Oh, damn it," she said, and then said something in Mandarin about a donkey's nephews. Her regional dialect was outside of his language charm, and she started crying again. "I'm so embarrassed," she said. "Bad enough Fushin is in better shape and has big old boobs to boot. Now I'm wasting food." Mike shushed her and put his arms partly around her. She was huge, so he couldn't reach all the way. Unfortunately, his hands each found a breast, and Smiling Mountain misunderstood his gesture. "Oh, sorry, big sister Fushin. Mike wants me now." She turned around and began to kiss him. She bowled him over and climbed on top of him. "I'm ready, little brother. I'm so ready," she declared. But Mike was not. "No, no, no," Mike said, pushing her back. "I was just hugging you, but we're both naked, and I didn't mean to touch your boobs." "But you grabbed them both. That means sex, doesn't it?" "Not this time, Mei Mei." She pouted. "When? Can you tell me when you want it?" she asked. "I can't, except that when it's time, I will tell you so that there will be no mistake. I will say, 'Let's make love, Mei Mei.'" "Make love? Like in a book? I was just talking about sex, so I won't be a virgin anymore." "Make love? I never thought it was an option." She crawled back to allow him to get up, her pale skin being tinged by the firelight to turn a yellow color. They roasted marshmallows, telling stories about people they didn't know, talking about places they hadn't been. Well, except for Fushin, who'd been everywhere, including Mu and Riley. Atlantis had never been real, she assured them. They sandwiched the chocolate pieces and marshmallows between pieces of dry ramen noodles and ate. Mike preferred graham crackers any day, but the Fushin s'more was something nice, and Mei Mei clearly loved Fushin s'mores. "So crunchy, so sweet," Mei Mei said with a sigh. She licked her lips. "Did I really win, Mike?" Mei Mei asked. "You never actually hit me. I faked it," Mike explained. "I wanted to make my victory look accidental. Then you crushed me. That was real." She nodded, and Mike began to get cold, naked in the woods, fire or no. Mei Mei pulled him up into her embrace. "I'll be your blanket," she said, and engulfed him from behind. Fushin smiled. She began making a proper meal, which consisted of lots of Fushin's famous 5-meat burrito. It contains mutton and goat. Also beef, chicken, and pork. After eating these, Mei Mei was still hungry. Fushin apologized, but aside from instant ramen, that was all the food she'd brought. So Mei Mei boiled up some water and ate some more instant ramen. While the panda slurped her noodles, Fushin pulled Mike to his feet. "Time for training," she said, and pulled him to where she had laid out an inflatable mattress and blankets. "Training?" Mike asked. "Exercise, whatever. Give it to me and grow stronger." Mei Mei watched. Mike felt exhausted at the end. Damn poison. "I bet doing it with me will make you stronger too. I'm so big. Like weights, hey?" the panda suggested. Mike smiled. "Don't have it in me. Another time." And he was soon asleep. Mei Mei asked Fushin many questions about Mike, and they discussed him while he slept. Smiling Mountain slept in panda form near Mike's bed. She did not like being far from her little brother. Fushin slept beside him, overjoyed to have him with her. Midnight came, and she woke them up. "Time to go home," she said, bustling them along. "Where's home?" asked Mei Mei. "Don't you have a home of your own?" Mike asked. "My home is where my little brother lives," insisted the panda. "The big city. Come along," Fushin replied. They dressed and walked through a bush to reappear by the arch back in the city. Mike once again was totally disoriented. This time Mei Mei carried him, insisting that it was her job. Fushin didn't argue, but sent word to Kurama that Mike had picked up a stray panda. "We'll find a use for her," Kurama assured her. They reached the apartment building safely, but outside there was a gang of Nezumi waiting by the parking lot entrance. One of them ran away, blowing a whistle. Smiling Mountain set Mike down on his feet. "We're here on the street in the middle of the night. Anything can happen in the big city," said a familiar voice that was a touch androgynous, and several rats scratched their crotches. "Did chlamydia do that?" Mike smiled at them hatefully. "How do you like my curse?" he asked. "Go fuck your uncle, human," a female Nezumi spat. "These rats need killing, don't they?" Mei Mei asked. "A lot," Mike replied. And then raucous caws and fluttering wings filled the air. The world was black feathers. Then nothing. Then streetlights revealed dead Nezumi. All of them had their eyes plucked out, and their throats pierced or cut, and feathers stuffed into their mouths. "Aw, I was gonna smash their heads," Mei Mei said.